For the last 3 months, I've been completely focused on playing single-player games on the PS5. It took over most of my free time, changed my sleep schedule, and left me with very little balance in my routine. But honestly, the time I spent was worth it. I ended up playing a wide range of titles, and many of them stood out for different reasons, whether it was the story, the visuals, or the gameplay. Spider-Man 2 has honestly ruined other superhero games for me. The moment you start swinging through Manhattan at high speed and switch between Peter and Miles in mid-air, it becomes clear how polished the game is. Insomniac's work on the web swinging is impressive. It doesn't feel like basic movement anymore. It feels like a skill you're constantly improving. When you land a smooth chain of swings and cover entire blocks without touching the ground, the sense of momentum and control is on a completely different level. The story adds just as much weight as the gameplay. Watching Peter struggle with the symbiote while Miles continues to grow into his own Spider-Man actually hits hard. The character moments are carefully built, and you can feel the tension every time the symbiote makes Peter stronger, but also pushes him in a darker direction. And Kraven isn't played off as a joke, he's genuinely intimidating. Every boss fight feels planned and intense, not the usual button mashing you see in other games. Even the side missions stand out. Instead of simple fetch quests or pointless collectibles, the game turns small tasks into short, meaningful stories that actually feel worth doing. The visuals are so sharp that I've caught myself stopping on rooftops just to look around at the city and the NPCs going about their day. This isn't just another superhero title. It feels like a full celebration of Spider-Man, built with care, strong writing, and some of the smoothest gameplay you'll find on the PS5. I always thought the first God of War was the peak, but Ragnarok proved I was wrong. It builds on everything the previous game did well and raises it even further, all without losing the emotional core that made the series stand out. The connection between Kratos and Atreus has also changed. It's not just a father helping his young son anymore. It's a teenager trying to find his own path while his father is doing everything he can to protect him from a future neither of them fully understands. Santa Monica Studio also made Kratos feel more human without changing who he is. He's still powerful and intense in every fight, but you also see moments where he's softer and more honest. Even when he talks in that rough voice of his, the emotional scenes still hit in a strong way. The combat system feels like they took what worked before and made it even more satisfying. Every axe throw has real weight behind it, every shield bash hits hard, and pulling off long combos feels great every single time. What really surprised me though was how they handled the final part of the Norse story. I won't spoil anything because it's something you should see for yourself, but they close important story points while also teasing new things for the future. The boss fights are on another level. They have multiple stages, smart mechanics, and little details in the environment that add to the moment. And the visuals are incredible. It feels like the PS5 is showing its full power throughout the game. The facial animations are so well done that it's easy to forget you're looking at digital characters. If you played the 2018 game and you're unsure about this one, you shouldn't be. Guerrilla Games really pushed the idea of robot dinosaurs to a whole new level, and it works. Forbidden West takes what Zero Dawn did well and expands it in every way. The world is huge, but it never feels empty. Almost every area has something to discover, whether it's a small detail, a hidden item, or a new machine to study. Aloy has also grown a lot as a character. You can feel the pressure she's under, and the voice acting sells it completely. You hear the tiredness, the stress, and the responsibility in every line. The machines, though, are the real stars. Fighting a Tremor Tusk doesn't feel like a simple boss battle. It feels like facing a massive mechanical creature that could actually exist. The way they move, the way their armor breaks apart, and the way you have to plan your attacks makes every fight feel smart and tactical. The story also goes in directions you might not expect. It talks about environmental issues without being heavy-handed. Instead, it shows the effects of the old world through gameplay, exploration, and the machines themselves. Climbing huge metal ruins and finding pieces of history through small details makes the world feel alive. I've spent hours just walking around without touching a quest, and the photo mode is so good that it can easily take up an entire afternoon. If you enjoy single-player games that treat you with respect and offer beautiful visuals, strong gameplay, and a world worth exploring, Forbidden West is an easy recommendation. I know a lot of people hear remaster and think it's the same game with better graphics, but The Last of Us Part 1 is much more than that. It feels like you're experiencing the story again, but this time the technology finally matches how emotional the game really is. The facial animations are so detailed that you can almost read every thought on the characters' faces. When Joel makes a hard choice, you feel the tension. When Ellie gets excited about something from the old world, it feels even more genuine. Naughty Dog rebuilt the whole game from the ground up, and the infected look and sound more frightening than ever. The clicking noises in 3D audio, especially with a headset, are honestly enough to ruin your sleep. The new visuals also make the world feel fuller. Walking through empty homes and seeing old photos and little personal items makes every place feel like it had real people living there. The gameplay feels modern now. Stealth is more important, resources are tight, and every fight feels risky. And if you've never played this story before, you're about to see why so many people call it one of the best ever made. Joel and Ellie's relationship carries the whole game, and watching it grow is still one of the strongest parts of the experience. This remake proves that going back to a classic can lead to something even more powerful. Another thing that stands out is how well the remake handles atmosphere. Every location feels heavier and more tense than before. The lighting, shadows, and small environmental details make each area feel dangerous even before enemies show up. You can hear buildings creak, wind move through broken windows, and distant infected echo through empty streets. This game turned me into a part-time samurai poet, and I'm not even embarrassed. Ghost of Tsushima feels like a full tribute to classic samurai films while still standing strong as its own game. Playing as Jin Sakai isn't just about defeating enemies, it's about watching a man struggle between doing what he was taught and doing what he must. He begins as a true samurai who follows the code, but when his island is burning and his people need help, he's forced to question how much of that code he can hold on to. The ghost abilities aren't just stealth tricks, they show Jin's inner conflict as he steps into methods his culture sees as dishonorable. The combat is excellent, with different stances for different enemy types. You can challenge enemies in a clean, fair standoff or handle things quietly in the shadows. Both approaches feel valid and rewarding. The director's cut also brings Iki Island, which somehow looks even more stunning than the main map. And don't even get me started on the photo mode, it can easily take up hours. The haiku feature is a great touch too, letting you create small poems that tie into Jin's emotional journey. This isn't just another open-world action game. It's a calm, meaningful experience built around strong sword combat. Every sunset feels like a scene from a film. Every duel feels personal, and every choice you make adds to the story. I've played this game several times, and the intro still gives me chills. Swinging through Manhattan in the original Spider-Man never loses its magic. Insomniac didn't just make a good superhero game, they made one that truly understands Spider-Man. They captured Peter Parker's everyday problems just as well as his heroic moments. Seeing him deal with rent, work stress, and relationships while trying to protect the city makes him feel more human. The suits are a whole addiction on their own. I spent hours unlocking new ones just to swing around looking cool, and the special abilities tied to each suit actually change the way you fight. The combat feels just right, easy to learn, but with enough depth to keep you improving. Once you get the timing for dodges, web combos, and environmental attacks, it starts to feel like you're in a full action movie. Mr. Negative was a great choice for the main villain because his story is so closely tied to Peter's life, not just Spider-Man's. Even the side missions matter, whether you're taking photos, stopping crimes, or finding old backpacks that add small pieces to Peter's past. Another thing that makes this game special is how alive the city feels. Manhattan isn't just a backdrop, it reacts to you. NPCs cheer when you swing by, news reports change based on your actions, and small details like street music, traffic noise, and ambient conversations make the world feel real. It's one of the few games where exploring without any goal still feels rewarding, because every corner of the map adds something to the experience. The PS5 remaster makes everything cleaner and almost removes loading entirely. If you've ever wanted to feel what it's really like to be Spider-Man, this is the game that delivers that feeling perfectly. I'll be honest, Death Stranding is strange, really strange, and that's part of what makes it incredible. Hideo Kojima set out to make a game about connection and loneliness, wrapped in one of the most unusual sci-fi stories you'll ever play. You step into the shoes of Sam, a delivery man in a world full of invisible, ghost-like creatures. Even the rain can aid you. It sounds odd, but carrying heavy cargo across empty landscapes becomes oddly calming and satisfying. The online system is brilliant. Other players leave helpful tools in your world. Ladders, ropes, bridges. You might be struggling up a hill and suddenly spot a ladder someone else left behind. That small moment of relief is exactly what the game is about. The director's cut adds plenty of new content, including weapons, areas, and even a racing mode. Norman Reedus gives a strong performance, and Mads Mikkelsen is genuinely intimidating. What really sets Death Stranding apart is how it makes you care about the world and the people in it. Every delivery feels important, not just for progress, but for connecting isolated settlements and rebuilding society. The landscapes are massive and hauntingly beautiful, and the quiet moments of walking or climbing give you time to reflect on the story and your place in it. It's a game that doesn't rush you, and that patience makes every triumph, every connection, and every challenge feel meaningful. Yes, it's a walking simulator, but it's one that makes you feel something. It made me think, made me emotional, and gave me some of the most unforgettable moments I've had in gaming. If you want a game that's truly different, Death Stranding is one that will stick with you long after you're done. Returnal completely blew my mind and then slowly put it back together. Housemarque took the challenge of a roguelike and wrapped it in a dark, psychological horror story. You play as Celine, who crashes on an alien planet, dies, and wakes up at her ship again, remembering everything. Over time, it becomes clear this loop has been going on far longer than anyone could imagine. The gameplay loop is incredibly addictive. Every death hurts, but you immediately want to try again, hoping for better gear or finally beating a tough boss. The weapons feel powerful, and the alien enemies start to make sense once you get familiar with them. The DualSense controller adds another layer, letting you feel rain, different weapon modes, and even Celine's heartbeat in tense moments. What makes Returnal so memorable is how every element ties together. The world feels alive and dangerous, from shifting alien landscapes to unexpected enemy behavior. The music and sound design add constant tension, making even exploration feel intense. And the way the story slowly unfolds keeps you guessing. Every new run can reveal something you missed before. It's a game that rewards persistence, attention to detail, and a willingness to embrace the challenge, leaving you with a sense of accomplishment unlike almost any other game. The story is what really makes Returnal special. The horror comes from the mystery, not cheap jump scares. Audio logs, strange memories, and eerie house segments slowly piece together a story that unfolds over multiple runs. It's a psychological thriller disguised as a roguelike, and it's unlike anything else. It will push your patience, but if you stick with it, the experience is unforgettable. Square Enix decided to go for a dark fantasy story with giant magical creatures battling like kaiju, and Final Fantasy XVI nails it. The series finally embraces a more mature tone. Clive Rosfield's journey is full of family drama, political betrayal, and huge battles that feel bigger than anything the franchise has done before. The icon fights are incredible, massive, multi-stage battles where you're actually controlling these giant creatures instead of just watching cutscenes. The combat mixes fast, action-packed moves like Devil May Cry with classic Final Fantasy magic, making it exciting but also deep enough to master. The story explores serious themes like slavery, belief systems, and corruption with real weight. Clive's voice actor brings strong emotion to every scene, making his struggles feel personal. The world is detailed and immersive, with each kingdom feeling unique. Even the side quests matter, helping to expand the world rather than just filling time. What really makes Final Fantasy XVI stand out is how cinematic and alive the world feels. From sweeping landscapes to the smallest environmental details, everything draws you in. The music elevates every battle and emotional moment, making fights and story beats hit harder. Even downtime exploring or interacting with characters adds to the sense that this is a living, breathing world. It's a game that blends spectacle, story, and gameplay seamlessly, showing that Final Fantasy can still surprise and impress longtime fans and newcomers alike. Final Fantasy XVI proves the series can grow up while still delivering an experience that feels meaningful. Larian Studios took the idea of choices matter and pushed it further than ever. Baldur's Gate 3 isn't just a typical RPG, it's a story where your decisions shape almost everything around you. Every conversation, every action, and even small gestures can have consequences. Your choices can change quests hours later, affect relationships with companions, or completely alter the ending of the game. The world feels alive because it reacts to the way you play, making each decision feel meaningful. Creating your character goes beyond just picking stats. Your background, class, and even race influence how the world sees and interacts with you. Playing as a warlock feels mysterious and strategic, while playing as a paladin feels righteous and commanding, each offering a different gameplay and story experience. The companions you meet are fully fleshed out, with their own goals, flaws, and personalities, making interactions feel rich and dynamic. Even romance feels natural and fully integrated into the story rather than being an afterthought. The turn-based combat is like a complex tactical puzzle. You can confront enemies head-on, sneak past them, persuade them, or creatively use the environment to your advantage. Each battle encourages experimentation and strategy, rewarding clever thinking rather than just brute force. Everything is fully voiced, supported by cinematic cutscenes and polished animations that make the world feel alive. A first playthrough can easily take over 100 hours, and even after finishing, you'll likely want to play again to see how different choices can completely change the story and the world around you. Remedy Entertainment really went all in with Alan Wake 2, and the crazy part is that it works beautifully. This is a psychological horror game that constantly plays with your mind and twists your sense of reality. You switch between two characters, Alan, who's trapped in a distorted world he's trying to write his way out of, and Saga Anderson, an FBI agent trying to solve a series of murders connected to Alan's work. The game never lets you feel fully grounded. It keeps mixing fiction with reality in ways that feel unpredictable but intentional. You'll see live-action scenes blend into gameplay, strange musical moments that feel dreamlike, and written pages that suddenly become part of the events happening around you. The horror isn't just about jump scares, it's the slow, eerie tension that builds over time. Enemies called the Taken move in unsettling, unnatural ways, and light becomes your biggest tool for survival. The visuals are stunningly realistic, and when the world begins to glitch, shift, or break apart around you, it creates a type of fear that stays with you even after you stop playing. Combat is heavy and measured, making every shot, battery, and flashlight beam feel important. If you enjoyed the first Alan Wake, this sequel improves almost every element. And if you're new to the series, this game delivers an experience unlike anything else in the genre. NeoWiz Games took the classic story of Pinocchio and completely reimagined it, turning it into a dark, gothic, and brutally challenging experience. Lies of P stands out as one of the strongest Souls-like games released in recent years. You play as P, a puppet trying to become human, making your way through the ruined city of Krat, which is overrun by violent machines, twisted creatures, and out-of-control puppets. One of the smartest features is the lying system. At certain moments, you can choose to lie or tell the truth, and these decisions slowly shape P's personality and the ending you get. The more you lie, the more human he becomes. It's a clever twist on the original Pinocchio story, but darker, more emotional, and built around a moody gothic atmosphere. The weapon system is also a highlight. Instead of being stuck with preset weapons, you can mix different handles and blades to create your own combinations. This lets you build weapons that match your preferred playstyle, whether you want something heavy and slow or light and fast. Boss fights are challenging but feel fair, pushing you to learn patterns, use your tools wisely, and think before every dodge or attack. The city of Krat feels rich with detail, and each area tells part of the story through its visuals. Broken streets, abandoned buildings, and eerie environments all give hints about what went wrong. If you love difficult action RPGs that bring something fresh to the formula, Lies of P is a fantastic choice. Insomniac Games basically used Rift Apart as a PS5 tech showcase, and in the process created one of the best platformers ever made. The entire game feels like a celebration of what the PS5 is capable of, and even after multiple playthroughs, the technical tricks still feel like magic. The dimensional rifts aren't just flashy effects, they're a core part of gameplay and storytelling. Thanks to the PS5's ultra-fast SSD, you can jump through a portal and instantly land in a completely different world with new physics, enemies, and visuals, all without a single loading screen. It's seamless in a way that doesn't feel possible until you see it happen. Rivet is also one of the smartest additions Insomniac has made to the series. She isn't just a copy of Ratchet, she's her own character with her own personality, motivations, and emotional depth. Her interactions with Clank and the rest of the cast feel fresh, and the parallel storyline between her dimension and Ratchet's adds variety and momentum to the entire adventure. The weapons are where the game goes all out. The burst fire gun turns enemies into retro-looking pixels, the topiary sprinkler freezes enemies in place by turning them into garden decorations, and the Rhino 8 is a chaotic, reality-bending powerhouse that destroys everything while blasting dramatic orchestral music. Every weapon feels distinct, fun, and satisfying to use, and the upgrade system encourages experimenting with all of them rather than sticking to one favorite. Visually, the game is pure animated movie quality. Every scene looks like it could be straight from a high-end Pixar film, with smooth character animations and dazzling particle effects during battles. The haptic feedback on the DualSense controller makes everything feel even more immersive. You can feel the weight, tension, and impact of each weapon in your hands. The story also carries surprising emotional weight. It's about family, belonging, and understanding your place in the universe, all wrapped in a vibrant, action-filled adventure that appeals to both longtime fans and newcomers. If you want a game that shows off what the PS5 can truly achieve while still being incredibly fun, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is essential playing. Bluepoint Games didn't just remake Demon's Souls, they rebuilt it into a masterpiece that respects the original and shows what the PS5 can really do. This is the game that started the Souls-like genre, now recreated from the ground up with stunning modern detail. Every stone hallway, every torch, and every terrifying creature has been brought to life with incredible precision. The Tower of Latria is still pure nightmare fuel, now enhanced with ray-traced lighting. What makes this remake impressive is how it keeps the original's brutal challenge while adding small quality-of-life improvements. Load times are almost instant, turning the death and retry loop into something smooth and surprisingly calming. You die, you learn, and you're back in the fight within seconds. Combat is still heavy and deliberate. Every swing, dodge, and parry demands timing and patience. This isn't a button-mashing action game. It's a tactical combat puzzle where observation and discipline matter more than aggression. Each area of Boletaria feels like its own nightmare. The Shrine of Storms is a windy, haunted battlefield, while the Valley of Defilement is just as grim and suffocating as players remember. The variety keeps the challenge fresh, with every zone requiring different strategies. The boss fights are legendary. Taking on enemies like the Flame Lurker is about more than damage. It's about spacing, timing, and managing your resources. Finally, beating a boss that stopped you for hours is incredibly satisfying. Multiplayer elements add a sense of shared struggle. Bloodstains show where others fell. Messages offer hints or tricks, and summoning or invasions keep the world feeling connected without breaking immersion. If you're new to From Software-style games, this is a great starting point. And for longtime Souls fans, seeing this classic rebuilt for PS5 makes it absolutely worth returning to. Ubisoft finally listened to longtime fans who wanted the series to return to its roots, and Assassin's Creed Mirage delivers exactly that. This isn't a massive 100-hour RPG filled with crafting trees and endless side quests. Instead, it returns to the classic formula, focused, tight, and built around stealth, parkour, and clean storytelling. You play as Basim in 9th century Baghdad, following his rise from street thief to skilled assassin, and the game treats his journey with the attention it deserves. Baghdad itself is stunning. The city feels alive with merchants shouting in the marketplaces, scholars arguing in open courtyards, and guards patrolling in patterns that actually make sense. The parkour system has been refined so movement feels smooth and natural. Running across rooftops, climbing walls, and navigating tight spaces feels fast and fluid again, like the series finally remembered that traversal should be exciting, not something you force yourself through. Stealth has truly returned as the heart of the game. Social stealth, blending into crowds, pickpocketing, stalking enemies, and planning silent takedowns are all back and more polished than they've been in years. Every assassination feels like solving a carefully designed problem. You observe enemy routes, look for openings, set up distractions, and strike at the perfect moment. Getting detected isn't meant to turn into a giant sword fight. It's a sign that you should rethink your strategy. The story is more personal than recent entries. Instead of saving the world yet again, you follow Basim's character, his struggles, and his mentorship with Roshan. The performances are strong, and the cutscenes feel purposeful rather than filler between missions. Mirage also brings back the investigation elements that defined early Assassin's Creed. You're not just chasing icons on a map, you're gathering clues, talking to witnesses, and building an understanding of your target before making your move. If you've felt disconnected from where the series has gone recently and missed the feeling of the original Assassin's Creed games, Mirage is exactly the course correction fans have been waiting for. It shows that sometimes going back can be the smartest way forward. Shift Up came out of nowhere and delivered one of the most stylish action games in years. Stellar Blade feels like a blend of deep philosophical storytelling and fast, skill-based combat, all presented with some of the most impressive visuals the PS5 has to offer. You play as Eve, an android warrior sent to reclaim Earth from terrifying creatures called the Naytiba, and the story becomes far more complex than it first appears. The combat system is incredibly addictive. It focuses on perfect timing, dodging at the last second, landing precise counters, and chaining combos that feel like a disciplined, flowing dance. Each enemy type forces you to rethink your strategy, and the boss fights are intense battles that challenge everything you've learned. The parry system is especially satisfying, giving you the same rush as mastering tough encounters in other hardcore action games, but with more flash and flair. What stands out is the balance between accessibility and depth. You can get by with simple button presses on lower difficulties, but higher settings reward players who learn the timing, patterns, and advanced combo routes. It becomes a rewarding skill climb instead of just a difficulty spike. Customization is another strong point. Eve has dozens of outfits that don't just look good, they affect gameplay stats and encourage different playstyles. Her character development is surprisingly compelling. She begins as a focused, almost emotionless android, but as she meets the remaining humans and uncovers the truth behind the apocalypse, she starts to question everything. Customization is another strong point. Eve has dozens of outfits that don't just look good, they affect gameplay stats and encourage different playstyles. Her character development is surprisingly compelling. She begins as a focused, almost emotionless android, but as she meets the remaining humans and uncovers the truth behind the apocalypse, she starts to question everything. The world design is both beautiful and unsettling. Some areas show nature taking the planet back, while others are twisted. Industrial ruins filled with hints of what happened to humanity. Environmental storytelling is strong, with clues, lore, and small details hidden throughout the world. If you enjoy stylish action games with real emotional weight and strong world building, Stellar Blade is absolutely worth playing. It proves that new studios can still bring fresh ideas to genres that often feel overcrowded. Ember Lab basically asked, what if a Pixar movie was playable? And the result is one of the most charming yet unexpectedly demanding games you'll find on PS5. Kena looks like a simple kid's adventure at first. Bright colors, wholesome visuals, and an inviting world full of adorable rot creatures. But the game quickly proves it has real depth and challenge beneath that friendly surface. You play as Kena, a young spirit guide helping troubled souls find peace, and the story explores meaningful themes like grief, acceptance, and the slow process of healing. The Rote aren't just cute mascots, they're central to combat, puzzle solving, and traversal, adding personality to every moment. Watching them cheer, hide, or scatter during intense fights gives the game a surprising emotional punch. Combat starts out approachable, but boss battles are tough and require real focus. One moment you're peacefully exploring and solving puzzles, and the next you're dodge rolling through frantic encounters against corrupted spirits that hit far harder than you expect. What makes the game truly shine is how its beautiful presentation supports the narrative. Each area visually represents the emotional journey of the spirits you're helping, and watching corrupted zones slowly return to life feels genuinely rewarding. The puzzle design is clever without becoming overwhelming, and using the rot creatively becomes its own satisfying layer of gameplay. What makes the game truly shine is how its beautiful presentation supports the narrative. Each area visually represents the emotional journey of the spirits you're helping, and watching corrupted zones slowly return to life feels genuinely rewarding. The puzzle design is clever without becoming overwhelming, and using the rot creatively becomes its own satisfying layer of gameplay. If you want proof that a small indie team can deliver AAA level quality, Kena is essential. Just don't underestimate the difficulty hiding behind its adorable art style. Arcane Studios took the time loop concept and created one of the most stylish puzzle shooters ever made. Deathloop isn't just about shooting people, it's about gathering information, recognizing patterns, and slowly unraveling this complex chain of cause and effect until you can pull off the perfect assassination run. You play as Colt, stuck in a time loop, trying to kill 8 targets in a single day to finally break free. But you can't just run and gun. You need to learn schedules, uncover secrets, and figure out how to manipulate events so your targets end up in the right places at the right times. The investigation system is brilliant. Every loop teaches you something new. An overheard conversation, a hidden note, a private meeting. All of it carries over, turning each run into progress. The gunplay feels fantastic with weapons that have real personality, but the supernatural abilities steal the show. Teleporting across rooftops, linking enemies so damage spreads, rewinding time to escape death. These powers make every fight feel unique and stylish. Juliana adds a constant threat. Sometimes she's AI, sometimes another player, but she's always hunting you and trying to protect the loop. Her invasions are tense, unpredictable, and keep exploration exciting. The retro-futuristic 70s aesthetic gives the game a bold identity, and the soundtrack fits the tone perfectly. The story digs into identity, purpose, and what it means to perfect yourself across endless retries. Colt and Juliana's banter is sharp, funny, and surprisingly meaningful. If you enjoy games that reward curiosity and experimentation, Deathloop delivers an experience unlike anything else on PS5. Media Molecule passed the Little Big Planet universe to Sumo Digital, and they somehow created one of the most joyful platformers on the PS5. Sackboy, a big adventure isn't trying to reinvent the genre. Instead, it focuses on doing everything right, and the result is a game that feels warm, cheerful, and incredibly polished. From Sackboy's charming stitched design to the upbeat soundtrack that sticks in your head for days, the entire experience radiates positivity. The platforming is excellent. Every jump lands exactly where you expect it to. Movements feel smooth, the physics are natural, and the controls are so responsive that mistakes always feel like something you can learn from. The level design balances creativity and challenge perfectly. Each world introduces new mechanics gradually, giving you time to adjust before raising the difficulty. But nothing stands out more than the music levels. These aren't normal stages, they're full rhythm experiences where platforms and enemies move in sync with the soundtrack. The famous Uptown Funk level feels like a celebration. When you hit the rhythm and see Sackboy dancing along as the world pulses to the beat, it's impossible not to smile. Co-op is another highlight. Playing with friends turns every stage into hilarious chaos. One moment you're helping each other, the next you're accidentally throwing someone off a ledge. The game welcomes all skill levels, letting experienced players chase rewards while newcomers simply enjoy the ride. Customization is a big part of the charm. Unlocking costumes becomes its own obsession. Whether you're dressing Sackboy as a knight or an astronaut, every outfit feels expressive, and his animations shift to match his look. What really impressed me is how respectful the game is of your time. Levels are short enough to enjoy in quick sessions, collectibles are rewarding without being overwhelming, and the difficulty curve is smooth. It's pure comfort gaming, colorful, heartfelt, and fun from start to finish. If you want a break from dark, serious experiences, Sackboy delivers exactly that. Avalanche Software gave every Harry Potter fan the game we've been dreaming of since reading the books. Hogwarts Legacy isn't just a licensed game, it's a love letter to the wizarding world that also stands on its own as a fantastic RPG. You play as a fifth-year student starting late at Hogwarts, able to perceive and wield ancient magic most wizards can't even see. The story explores surprisingly dark themes while keeping the wonder and charm that makes the Harry Potter universe so special. Character creation is detailed, and your choices genuinely matter. Different Hogwarts houses provide unique common room experiences, quest lines, and dialogue options. The house sorting ceremony alone gave me chills. It's exactly as magical as you'd hope. Combat is far more engaging than expected. Learning spells, combining them creatively, and using the environment makes every encounter feel dynamic. Boss fights against dark wizards become intense, magical duels that feel straight out of the films. The real star, however, is Hogwarts itself. The castle is massive, detailed, and alive with secrets. Exploring hidden passages, solving puzzles, and discovering lore scattered throughout the halls is endlessly rewarding. The Great Hall during meals, students chatting in corridors, ghosts gliding through walls. It all feels authentically magical. Companion characters are well written with compelling story arcs. Sebastian's dark magic journey, Poppy's magical creature conservation, and Nott's justice-driven missions are more than side quests. They deepen the main story and make the world feel alive. The magical creature system is a delight. Caring for nifflers, feeding hippogriffs, and rescuing fantastic beasts from poachers creates peaceful moments between intense story beats. The Room of Requirement becomes your customizable sanctuary for caring for creatures and growing magical plants. If you've ever wanted to experience Hogwarts firsthand, Hogwarts Legacy delivers that fantasy better than any game before it. It proves licensed games can be excellent when developers truly respect and understand the source material. And that's it. 20 single-player games that completely hijacked my PS5 and my schedule. I started this thinking I'd just skim through a few favorites, and somehow ended up losing myself in hours of gameplay instead. Sleep was optional, productivity non-existent, but the fun? Absolutely worth it. These are the games that make you remember why we fell in love with gaming in the first place.